Pictures of boobies at the gas station? What do you think? Where are you more likely to see them? Germany or the US? I'll give you a hint. It's not the US. Hey everyone, I'm Donna and you're watching Wanted Adventure Living Abroad. Back when Mr. German Man and I first started dating, I was actually living in Prague and he was living in Munich. So for the first few months, we spent just about as much time together in Prague as we did here in Munich. So I didn't really get so much exposure to the German culture as when I finally moved here. But even within those first few months, Mr. German Man had taken me to 2 naked saunas, and I had seen that in the gas station stores on the Autobahn, they sell magazines with topless women on them. So just sitting there, right out there in the store, next to the Marie Claire and kids coloring books. Boobies, just right there. So yeah, even before moving to Germany, I had already realized that the nudity comfort level is way more relaxed here in Germany than in the US, where porn magazines are dirty and hidden away, and where a lot of people even keep their bathing suits on while showering off in the changing room showers after using a swimming pool. I've talked about it in several other videos, which I'll link to down below. For the most part, Germans are just a lot more comfortable with the naked body. Breastfeeding is a non-issue. Doctors don't usually leave the room while you get undressed, and you usually don't get any kind of gown to cover yourself with. So in the US, doctors hand you a paper gown and then leave the room while you change, waiting until you say you're ready and dressed in that paper gown before coming back in. There are also naked areas here in Munich, just 5 minutes from the city center. Areas in the park and by the river where people just hang out totally naked, and really it's just no big deal. Another big difference is that here in Germany, small talk isn't really a thing. It's completely normal to send off a business email that gets straight to the point. Dear Anya, I need those figures before tomorrow's meeting. Kind regards, Lisa. In the US, that would probably be seen as an angry or an upset email. What's wrong with Lisa? Why is she in such a bad mood? What did I do wrong? You gotta make a little small talk, even in an email. Hi, Sally, I hope you're having a nice week. Love those new photos you have in your office. About those figures we discussed earlier. It's really important that I get them before tomorrow's meeting, and so on. The freedom given to kids and teenagers over here is another big difference. By the 5th grade, I've seen kids in Germany taking the underground all by themselves, getting themselves to and from school with it, often switching trains, switching lines, all without, it seems, causing the parents even the slightest bit of worry. It's just fine. It's just normal. I mean, teens are even sent on trips to other countries for short stays of like a week, but also for longer ones. A lot of Germans, not just a few, go on an exchange year in high school to the US, to South America, to other places all around the world. Yeah, right. When I was 17, I still wasn't allowed to drive more than an hour away from my home. And that wasn't because my parents were particularly strict or anything. That was a pretty normal rule among most of my friends. It was a huge deal when my parents let me and one of my girlfriends drive to Tampa, which is 4 hours away, and stay there all weekend alone. A huge deal. But the funny thing is, then at age 18 in the US, you're suddenly let loose. Like, up until then, you've been driving nothing more than an hour away from your home, but then boom, you turn 18 and you move halfway across the country to go to college, move into your own apartment, and yeah, you're all alone. You're an adult now. You're kind of seen as a bit of a loser by society if you stay at home with your parents or if you move back in with your parents after college. kind of like you failed. Whereas here in Germany, I've noticed it's really not a big deal at all for people to keep living with their parents for a while. There doesn't seem to be that same stigma of shame and failure attached to it. Another pretty big difference is that prostitution is legal here in Germany, whereas in the US, the only place that prostitution is legal is in some parts of Nevada. And I think that this ties in with yet another big difference, which is that sex in general is a lot less taboo here in Germany than in the US. It's not something to feel bad or ashamed about. Sex here is it's part of life, and it's not really a big deal. It's just life. You don't have these abstinence is the only way training programs in middle school here in Germany. Which, if you don't know, abstinence-only training is the sex talk that I, as well as a lot of other people in the US, got as our safe sex talk in school. Some guy or girl in a stiff collared shirt showed up at the school and stood at the front of the classroom to tell us that abstinence, which is no sex at all, is the only form of safe sex. Yes, that's right. That was my sex talk in middle school. No sex is the only safe sex. Anything else is gonna give you diseases and bring you and your family shame.
You and your family shame. You and your family shame.
As a part of this safe sex talk, they also showed us slides of genitals with herpes and other STDs to convince us and scare us into not having sex. Wow. That sounds really messed up when I say it out loud. It's a good thing that I had, more open parents that I could talk to about sex who kept me on a more sane path. Yeah. That sounds really messed up. And on that note, so my question for you is, what other big differences have you noticed between Germany and the US? And what's your opinion on these differences that I mentioned? Do you prefer a little small talk, or you like getting right to the point? How about sex? Is that something you're comfortable with? Nudity? How do you feel about that? Please let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe for more videos and hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. And also, for more photos or information on other video projects that I'm working on and to see other video clips, you can connect with me over here on my Twitter and my Facebook page. Until next time, auf Wiedersehen. Now I'm going to get deep in the traumatizing area of my childhood. Thanks so much for watching and letting me get out my therapy session about the mutilated vaginas. They didn't even show us pictures of the genitals, but slides. They projected them onto the wall. There were like these huge pictures of vaginas with STDs. Why would they do that? I bet Laci Green has a video on that. I need to check out Laci Green's channel. Some parts of Nevada. And